Hey, folks, welcome back to the Mental Health podcast. I'm excited to have Eli here. He's a startup founder, and I can't wait to hear what he has to say. Hey, Eli, welcome to the show. How's it going?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Hi. Yeah, happy to be here. Doing super well. Thank you.
So the first thing that I like to ask people is to give themselves an elevator pitch, to showcase themselves on what they're doing and let the people know on how they can get involved with you as well. So take it away.
Yeah, sure thing. So I'm the CEO, founder, and lead software engineer of Aroma.
Mm-hmm.
Aroma is a new social media with the sole purpose of caring for the user and getting people outside. And we
Mm-hmm.
do that in a fun way with geo-specific posts using augmented reality features like we saw in Pokemon Go.
All
So
right.
there it is.
Great. Sounds like a cool idea. I'm sure a lot of people would be curious on how to sort of get onto your platform. One thing that kind of um, bugs me, I don't know, bugs me is the right word, but today I feel like a lot of people are addicted to their phones, and
Mhm.
can you talk a little bit about your own mission in terms of getting people outdoors, and what made you sort of decide to do that?
Absolutely, man. So I'm in the generation of Generation Z, and let me tell you, it's just crazy with how everywhere and everyone is constantly on their phone. It's without a doubt, it's a fact.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm in college right now, and so many people are so addicted to Instagram, TikTok, just being on their phones
Mm-hmm.
that they'll forget to go to class. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's that serious.
Mm-hmm.
And I've started to notice this like very early on, like in middle school. I'm like, wow, we are really putting way too much time in our social media,
Mm-hmm.
especially in our young developmental phases,
Mm-hmm.
where our emotions are just starting to grow and we're just starting to understand
Mm-hmm.
what we're really doing in this society that we're living in.
Mm-hmm.
So back in middle school, I was like, okay, people are spending way too much time about this,
Mm-hmm.
spending too much caring about this.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I got the idea of like, why don't we create a social media that is good, one that
Mm-hmm.
isn't about like counts, one that isn't about a popularity contest.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and with the summer of Pokemon Go,
Mm-hmm.
summer 20, summer of 2016, I'm like, man, this is a fun little game that got me outside, exploring town. It was
Mm-hmm.
still fun. It used some cool new
Mm-hmm.
technology.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't I take those features and apply it to social media?
Mm-hmm.
That way, it gets us outside, gets us connected, while
Mm-hmm.
still being social. People still want to be connected, just don't want to see what's going on. But
Mm-hmm.
let's do it in a very natural and fun way
Okay.
instead.
Interesting. So one thing that I like to bring all the folks in on is talking about mental health, right? So,
Yes,
can sort of correlate that with, being outdoors and like how you foresee, being outdoors and having its impact on mental health?
absolutely. Outdoors just it opens up just a door of benefits.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, there's scientific studies that have shown that spending 20 minutes outside can lower your high blood pressure and lower your stress levels by so much percent.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but
Mm-hmm.
really, like it's just the benefit is within the person doing it. Like going outside, taking a deep breath of fresh air, taking
Mm-hmm.
in your surroundings.
Mm-hmm.
It's something. It's a fact that you can't get anywhere else. You can't imitate it. You
Mm-hmm.
have to actually just be outside.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the first thing therapists and mental health specialists will tell you is go outside.
Right.
Go outside. It's that simple. Just go on a walk. It erases your thoughts. Just
Mm-hmm.
find the beauty of just walking around nature and taking
Mm-hmm.
in stuff around you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Personally, I know whenever I'm stressed, I just need to go on a run, need to go
Mm-hmm.
on a bike ride. It's
Mm-hmm.
just that escaping nature of just like I need to go back out, be out outside, get something fresh, and
Mm-hmm.
it always alleviates what's on my mind.
Definitely. You know, one thing that I like to ask people is like, um, can you give a little bit insight into your own personal mental health journey, where you're at right now, and what made you sort of start getting focused into your own personal mental health journey?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I mean, really if to start like the journey, like prior to middle school, like I think that's kind of when I realized mental health was a thing. I'm like, whoa,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you know, I have emotions.
Mm-hmm.
These emotions kind of mean something and they're derived from, good experiences or bad experiences or stuff that I've been like holding in and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that.
Mm-hmm.
And during that phase in my life, it wasn't good, like lots of built up emotions, lots of anger due
Mm-hmm.
to just like family related stuff and having to move across country so many times, not being able to fit in. It
Mm-hmm.
just wasn't the time. I'm like, wow. So
Mm-hmm.
that's when I first got the idea of like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
something like this stuff is causing me to feel this way.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when I'm like, okay, so maybe I should understand that more.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I first started to like first think about therapy and really
Mm-hmm.
start to think about like the events and really
Mm-hmm.
start to just kind of start to think. So that was like around like fifth grade.
Mm-hmm.
Throughout middle school, I got even emotions and everything just started to feel more and more and more.
Mm-hmm.
Just as we're trying to make more and more friends, we're trying to fit in. It's
Mm-hmm.
the status quo.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
it's just got worse. So throughout middle school, like more angry, more sad, more depressed, more anxious. And that's
Mm-hmm.
when I went to seek out the, you know, professional help.
Mm-hmm.
So therapy. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I told my parents, I'm like, hey, like I'm feeling all the things and I want to not feel these all the things. I feel like I
Mm-hmm.
should get professional help.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
like absolutely, we will help you get it.
Right.
Um, so I believe seventh or eighth grade, I did therapy for about a year and a half
Mm-hmm.
before
Mm-hmm.
high school. And that
Mm-hmm.
really helped a lot. It opened up, you know, it really, even though I was already thinking of like, why am I feeling like this? Therapy told me how and the real answers and how to cope with that, how to deal with that, how to
Mm-hmm.
change your emotions, how to journal your emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then from there, I was like, okay, that helped all tremendously.
Mm-hmm.
Throughout high school,
Mm-hmm.
I kind of took those skills and
Mm-hmm.
was able to do it on my own. Um,
Right.
and then towards the end of high school, kind of
Mm-hmm.
near the
Mm-hmm.
pandemic, I was
Mm-hmm.
like, whoa, like maybe I do need some more help again because I
Right.
mean, the pandemic took a toll on us. Like
Mm-hmm.
we
Mm-hmm.
were locked inside for a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so many other things were happening. It's just
Mm-hmm.
like, man,
Mm-hmm.
mental health was not one of them that I was thinking of.
Right.
So I was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, let's go back to professional help,
Mm-hmm.
go back there, relearn new skills. So I
Mm-hmm.
did that for about, I think, 6 to 8 months
Right.
before
Mm-hmm.
college, which was a really good time to have it because college was such a big transition. So I
Mm-hmm.
was like, I'm gonna be transitioning. There's lots of things I want to be able to handle before I go to college,
Mm-hmm.
where really I'm out on my own with, adults. So
Mm-hmm.
it'd be best to handle my emotions before that happens.
Great. Yeah.
So then once in college, I felt like again I was at a better state.
Mm-hmm.
So I started to just kind of self mental health
Mm-hmm.
with all the new tools that I've learned. And
Mm-hmm.
really, since then, I'm at a good stage still where I'm able to just understand my emotions, understand what causes them,
Mm-hmm.
understand what to do, understand
Mm-hmm.
how to communicate.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we are today.
Great. I mean, you mentioned a lot of wonderful things. So just to recap, you know, trying to keep track of fitting in, right? The other
Hmm.
one was you mentioned handling transitions.
Yes.
Also normalize the aspect of being in therapy and not being in therapy, right? So just
Yeah.
because you are in therapy doesn't necessarily mean you have to consistently stick to it. It means that you need to be able to take care of your mental health, but at some point in time, if you feel comfortable, you can always discontinue it and then go back into it when you feel the need to do it. So
Yes.
great points there. So I just wanted to dig into a little about, fitting in. I feel this
Hmm.
happening so often with people today. So can you talk about like why is there so much pressure to fit in, and like what does that fitting in mean to you?
Yeah. Well, fitting in, it it's definitely something that has happened throughout societies for a very, very long time.
Mm-hmm.
There's lots of sociological reasons on why we do it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Mainly, it's so that we're well liked and
Mm-hmm.
we feel that
Mm-hmm.
we are connected and well positioned in a group.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because no one wants to be the one person left out or the person
Right.
ostracized. It's just
Mm-hmm.
it's in humans' benefit to be in groups and to
Mm-hmm.
be well liked.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
However, in the current age, it's just so much of it is just how we think of ourselves from the outside. We want that to be the highest thing that people see. We want people to think that, we're an influencer, we're this
Mm-hmm.
crazy personality, we're doing our best life.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
it's just most of the time we're not, like we're just living our everyday life.
Right.
We eat food, we go to the bathroom, we do work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But without denial, like we all subconsciously do things to
Mm-hmm.
try to fit in.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a little bit of that is okay, like
Mm-hmm.
staying up to date with trends and stuff. I mean, it's part of our culture, especially for the younger generation.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but people can take it very, very far when they get too obsessed with it,
Mm-hmm.
doing things that they normally wouldn't do just
Right.
to fit in. Like they're
Mm-hmm.
losing a part of their identity
Mm-hmm.
in order to be, whatever the newest trend is. I feel like that's crossing a line where
Mm-hmm.
you shouldn't have to sacrifice that. You should be your individualistic self,
Mm-hmm.
while still finding a group that you can fit in with,
Right.
that are similar to you. You don't have to fit in
Mm-hmm.
with the main group, but
Mm-hmm.
I still feel like you should, have a friend group with the same
Mm-hmm.
similar interest or a
Mm-hmm.
culture group that's somewhat related to you.
Right.
And
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of my thoughts on it. Yeah.
Great. Yeah. I mean, I think one thing that I picked up on was trying to fit in doesn't mean you have to change yourself, right?
Yeah.
So, if you have to change yourself too much, then you lose that sense of identity. And, that was such a great insight that you shared. I hope people pick up on it and, start, making different choices and decisions in terms of, um, uh, who they are hanging around with. You also mentioned, being around different people or like traveling from location to
Hmm.
location. Can you talk a little bit about like what your experience was like in terms of, finding new people or like, being in different places at different times?
Absolutely. Yeah, I've definitely quite the experience in this. So originally I was born in Kentucky, Indiana.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, and keep in mind, I'm a half Puerto Rican, half American descent. So I'm Hispanic, but
Hmm.
born in Louisville, Kentucky, which is a very country southern type of city,
Hmm.
and then moving out to New York. So I
Hmm.
lived in a few cities,
Hmm.
um, a few different boroughs out in New York,
Hmm.
which huge contrast from going from Kentucky
Right.
to New York, which is, you have so much, like just a mixture of anyone and everyone in New York. You have
Hmm.
the Puerto Ricans, you have the Cubans, you have,
Hmm.
the Germans, you have the Irish, you have the Italians,
Hmm.
all in one place.
Hmm.
In Kentucky, you really just have, the Midwesterns.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that was like my first like whoa. Like
Hmm.
when I got to school and I saw people from everywhere. Like I remember one of my best friends, his parents came from China. I'm like,
Hmm.
you talking about like the other way around the world? He's like, yeah.
Hmm.
I'm like, oh my God, that's so cool. So like little 5-year-old me was just like so excited by that.
Hmm.
Um, and then from there, also moved to a few other states like Connecticut, to Oregon,
Mm-hmm.
um, Massachusetts. But really, to answer like the question about like how I make new friends is I'm like just being open. I'm like, man, like I'm in a new spot.
Mm-hmm.
People like they want to understand me because I'm someone new and I've
Mm-hmm.
had like these stories to tell about all these other people I've met.
Mm-hmm.
So I've just always been receptive. Always down to listen to people. People want to be listened to and be heard.
Mm-hmm.
And I give them that. So
Mm-hmm.
like when I ask them like, hey, like, what's it like living here? Just
Mm-hmm.
let them talk. They'll if they've
Mm-hmm.
lived there for so long, they'll just
Mm-hmm.
love telling you about their city, love telling you what they're doing and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, that's kind of how it's been. And then in college, that's just it's crazy. I mean, there's groups for everything. There's groups
Mm-hmm.
for any type of ethnicity, religion,
Mm-hmm.
interests.
Mm-hmm.
And I just like to go to like a new one like every other month, just try
Mm-hmm.
something new.
Mm-hmm.
And just listen and try to engage with people.
Right. Yeah, you brought up some great points, right? I mean, like being able to hold space for people wherein like you can just listen to what they have to say and get
Hmm.
insight into, what those little things are about a different place. And, that way you create a lot of great connections. One thing I wanted to ask you about like, your own sort of college life and for
Hmm.
people trying to find things that they are compatible with, how do they sort of understand that? I know you mentioned going to different events, but how do you go about like finding these events and like how do you sort of decide what events to go to and prioritize your time and you know uh
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah.
Time management is the biggest skill that you will learn in college.
Hmm.
You'll quickly learn that you don't have enough time for everything that you wish you could do.
Hmm.
So managing well is very key.
Hmm.
And with my college in particular, they do so much to like advertise and get the word out. Like, hey,
Hmm.
like we have a culture festival where if
Hmm.
you're big into culture, you can
Hmm.
check out booths for the Latino, the African American, the Irish,
Hmm.
Celtic. So
Hmm.
if that's your thing, there's a whole week for it. If
Hmm.
you're into sports, they have like a it's called Rec Fest, where it's like recreational fest, where you
Hmm.
can join club soccer, club tennis, club running,
Hmm.
all of those. So to
Hmm.
really segment it out and then
Hmm.
go really big on it to capture those people. And they do it very early on in the college. So the
Hmm.
first month is filled with these weeks to
Hmm.
really get people involved very
Hmm.
quickly.
Hmm.
And so that way it's set in their schedule because
Hmm.
people are going to be able to pick really one, two, maybe three different groups, and
Hmm.
that's going to be it for the year. So they
Hmm.
try to do it really quick, really early.
Hmm.
And my school does a really good job about that. They do whole wide parades. They
Hmm.
do emails. They just put it out on our social medias.
Hmm.
Tons of flyers everywhere around campus.
Hmm.
And it started to become a tradition here. It's like, the first few weeks you're going to get involved with your Greek life, your culture festivals, your academic clubs, your non-academic clubs, the
Hmm.
sports teams, and then by the second month, you're set in stone,
Hmm.
and then you can continue with that group. Um, so that's kind of how it's been with my experience here.
Interesting. I know you mentioned, you have roots from Puerto Rico and
Hmm.
so like I'm trying to understand like how does that impact you, as an individual? You said you're Hispanic, you have some Hispanic roots
Yeah,
there as well. So, can you, give people some insight into how they can feel more comfortable in who they are or like, how they can, not sort of worry about what people think when somebody looks at you or like form an impression of you before even they have a conversation with you, so.
absolutely. Yeah, that's a big thing. Also relates to like self-identity.
Hmm.
Especially with Puerto Rican. Like Puerto Rican's ethnicity is very, very convoluted.
Hmm.
There's just a lot of like self-identity questions that still remain.
Hmm.
But regardless of that, I think biggest thing is find whatever feels natural to you. Like if you want to
Hmm.
do the culture and then the like trying to think of like the traditions related to your
Hmm.
to whatever you believe you are, like Mexican, Hispanic, Cuban.
Mm-hmm.
any one of those Hispanic descents,
Mm-hmm.
and do it, embrace in that culture.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because I mean that's what you want to do, and don't worry about anyone else. It's what you want to do. And there's
Mm-hmm.
going to be people doing the same thing as you
Mm-hmm.
eventually. Like just if you're not in a big enough space yet, you will find someone eventually. And when you do, they're going to be there. Like that connection's so much more valuable
Mm-hmm.
compared to like 10 other friends that are
Mm-hmm.
just judging you. Like it's absolutely like those friends aren't even friends at that point.
Right.
Um, and I mean, worrying about judging and like the self-confidence and stuff like that, it's definitely a personal thing where you have to learn how to kind of handle it, but like learn how to process it in a
Mm-hmm.
thoughtful way. Like why are these
Mm-hmm.
people judging me? Oh,
Mm-hmm.
it's because, this is different to them.
Mm-hmm.
And the first instinct when something is different is to judge it. So
Mm-hmm.
they're really not attacking me. They're just attacking this idea or this culture that is different to them.
Mm-hmm.
And if I want to do something about it, well, I can educate them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of the more positive way of going about that instead of, take on all of the judgment, be like, oh, people are judging me, people are judging me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not liked here. Like
Mm-hmm.
they're they're being, really prejudiced to me.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
so that's kind of like the alternative way of how to go about it and how to actually try to find a solution to it.
Great. I mean, like you mentioned some, great points, having self-confidence in yourself and being true to
Hmm.
yourself, uh, not taking things personally,
Yep,
it's the idea of who they think you are, which they might have prejudice against. And,
exactly.
it's not who you are itself. And the other thing that you mentioned that I found was very insightful was like, you can always take the time to explain or like
Yeah,
educate people, right? And this is something that I feel like is such an important thing today, that we are not so divided as people feel. We are all one community, and we want to sort of help each other out and see how we can come together and do better as a community as well. So um
absolutely. Beautifully said.
yeah. And in terms of like uh people who are trying to find, friends, or like,
Hmm.
I've been asked this question a bunch of times, like how many, people is a good enough, count of having friends, right? I mean, like, so many people have this question, and I
Yeah,
just wanted to put that out there, and normalize this aspect of like not having like 500 friends and
yeah,
still being okay with it. So I wanted to bring that up. So go ahead.
yeah. I completely agree. It's definitely the quality over the quantity.
Mm-hmm.
By a thousand means. I have two absurdly good friends, like two really good best friends,
Mm-hmm.
and we can make, a week just the
Mm-hmm.
most absolute best adventure. Or
Mm-hmm.
if like we're working on business, we will get stuff done in that
Mm-hmm.
week.
Mm-hmm.
They're my two guy friends I know I can count on day and
Mm-hmm.
night, 24/7. We have each other's
Mm-hmm.
back.
Mm-hmm.
And that's beat every other small little like friend group that I've created, like in college and stuff, where it's like, yeah, like we'll all hang out and we'll all
Mm-hmm.
like, get food and stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
outside of that, we don't text,
Mm-hmm.
outside of that, we don't support each other.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, it's just we don't need 500 friends to boost our ego. We need those, 1 to 5 that are truly there for us,
Mm-hmm.
that we, you know, that we can make the most out of. So yeah.
Right. Definitely. I mean, like, yeah, thank you for sharing that and
Hmm.
normalizing that, because, you know, people always think that they don't have enough, or like, they don't, they're always looking for more. And,
Hmm.
like you mentioned, it's the quality that
Yep.
matters. And, having a few people, one or two, that would be very good, because, I felt like, you need to be for each other at
Yes.
different times. It's like, it's not like you're taking all the time or you're giving all the time. So,
Yeah.
maintaining that balance is, so important. The conversation has been great. Thank you for coming on, Eli. So I just want, to ask you, like, if there was
Hmm.
one thing that people should take away or like could take away from this conversation, what would it be?
Yeah, I think it's starting, like if you haven't already, start your own mental health journey.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that everyone should start and think about,
Mm-hmm.
whether it be professional, services like therapy or
Mm-hmm.
not, the
Mm-hmm.
self-guided method,
Mm-hmm.
but just start.
Mm-hmm.
Because truly those skills, those tools, and those thought practice thought practices can
Mm-hmm.
help you with many things. Like I mean, nearly many things in
Mm-hmm.
life
Mm-hmm.
that could come up. And it just really opens your mindset and opens up just your mind
Mm-hmm.
to handle more things.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
truly don't think many Americans, and especially young Americans,
Mm-hmm.
have done that.
Right.
It's just they're so locked in their ways,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of it can just be remedied by just starting.
Great.
So that's the biggest thing I want people to take away. Just start
Great.
the mental health journey.
Mm-hmm. Thank you again, Eli. So yeah, I mean, like, I think that can be emphasized enough,
Hmm.
looking inwards, thinking about what is it that you want and understanding what it is that you want, not putting too much pressure. It's such a insightful journey in that way.
Absolutely.
And yeah, definitely want to appreciate your time. And I would love for more Gen Z people to come on and share their own personal experiences, because it's inspirational, and you guys are going to sort of define what tomorrow's technology is going to be.
Yes.
So it's been lovely to chat with you, and here is hoping more people get inspired by people like you. And I wish you all the luck with Airoma, and where you guys are going to take it next. So,
Thank you. I appreciate you having me on. As a Gen Z, I definitely want to contribute because I definitely think this is important. So it was truly a blessing to, get the invitation and be on here today and really just talk. So again, thank you. And thank you for everyone that's listening right now.
all right.